All right, so I wanted to make some comments about this news that Blizzard slash Microsoft is suing Turtle WoW. For context, these comments are coming from a person that has played on the private server scene and in Turtle WoW for quite a long time. This particular situation is interesting to me because it feels a bit like the Microsoft video game portfolio is scraping the grime off the bottom of the barrel with this move, taking the last little bits left of what I assume is a dying community across their portfolio, not just on the World of Warcraft side. It has looked to me like these various communities that make up the Microsoft video game umbrella have been declining for years. And so now I'd like to try to explain some of those thoughts. As a whole, I can't imagine that the Microsoft video game portfolio is doing very well. From what I've seen, I'm pretty sure that they've waved the white flag on the console wars, right? I recently watched a video from YouTuber Video Game Donkey, and it's a comedy video, but it does solidly give the impression that they're closing most of their studios and they have pretty weak plans for the future. And so when it comes to Microsoft, Activision, and Blizzard, I personally have not purchased any of their products in over 10 years, I would say. I think the last games I bought from Activision was probably like Modern Warfare 3, and Blizzard probably Diablo 3, which, by the way, I did not like Diablo 3 at all. It's probably fair to say that I'm someone that's sort of watching these companies from a distance, and what I've seen and heard is a lot of negativity surrounding Blizzard slash Microsoft video games. And just to name a few examples, I'm thinking about Redfall, the BlizzCon scams, Starfield, Overwatch 2, the Diablo Immortal fiasco. What it comes down to is I can't name anything positive that these companies have done in recent years, except for maybe I heard that Halo Infinite was free to play, right? But from what I understand, even that has several caveats to go with it. Something that I really wanted to say with this video is how crazy it is that these companies still are charging subscriptions for their Xbox Live service or to play World of Warcraft. And I really think that Blizzard charging a subscription for it quickly boils down to people paying $15 a month to ruin your life on a video game with an incomprehensible time sink. And I think the majority of people are familiar with Warcraft being associated with video game addiction problems. Personally, I stopped playing retail World of Warcraft when the Wrath of the Lich King expansion came out because even as a child, I could see that they were starting to set up a pattern where the progress you make in the game would just be continually thrown out the window as soon as the next expansion is released. Also, I knew as a child how ridiculous it was to be paying so much money monthly just to play a video game. Similarly, I haven't paid for an Xbox Live or live service multiplayer game in over 10 years because it didn't make much sense to me for the service to be so expensive. I used to check the price every now and then, and I was usually baffled by the fact that they still hadn't lowered the Xbox Live subscription price or that they hadn't just made it free to play online for Xbox Live. I was always baffled that they never made those changes. And that's especially when you can just play multiplayer games on the computer PC without a subscription service charge. And I think that Helldivers 2 is a decent comparison here because the game costs $30 or $40 and they constantly update it, and they're still releasing fun and fresh content. It's over a year later now, so it's $40, no additional charges. It's a pretty good deal in comparison to the subscription models. And so rhetorically, I have to ask if Arrowhead Studios can do that, then why couldn't Microsoft Blizzard do that with Warcraft? Why didn't they do that with Xbox Live? From what I understand, they made a shitty attempt at it with Overwatch 2. But circling back here, I assume that they will continue to fool some people with these bad products. I've seen them constantly make unpopular moves, such as this new lawsuit against the private server. Time and again, I think, well, really, they're doing more damage to themselves with these moves, and they seem to have lost all sense of the benefits of getting goodwill with their communities. I don't think there's any way that this move will get them new or returning players. I'm thinking best case scenario for Microsoft Blizzard is that maybe they get a few $1 million in damages from their lawsuit against Turtle WoW, and that they probably piss off a few 100,000 more people. And so that's best case scenario for them, right? I think it's financially inconsequential for Microsoft to get a few $1 million suing Turtle Wow. But in terms of their reputation, it's already pretty bad. So maybe it's the case that they don't care about their reputation anymore. And so I'd offer the idea that I think that they would have made more money and made their community more happy by actually trying to partner with the Turtle Wow team as opposed to suing them. And of course, I do understand that this alternative idea is extremely unrealistic and impractical because naturally they're going to want to operate from a standpoint of trying to defend their intellectual property. But the point is that the lawsuit to me looks a bit short sighted, it looks a little bit desperate, and is maybe more evidence that the Microsoft video game portfolio is headed towards irrelevance in the video game industry. So while anyone on the inside of this issue would probably tell you that this Blizzard Microsoft lawsuit is out of touch, I also think that even if Blizzard recognized this problem, they wouldn't change their behavior. I have no evidence that they're currently anything other than a corporate greed machine, continually hurting its community for what will amount to paltry gains. And I would argue that they could have probably steered this in the exact opposite direction if they had been a little bit more savvy and less of just a corporate machine that they are. Now, I will also say that back when I first saw that Turtle Wow was launching this advertisement campaign boasting about the use of the Unreal Engine and stuff like that, it did feel like a mistake to me at the time because it's obviously going to draw too much attention to the private server and not the type of attention that you want when you're running a private server. Typically, private servers don't really want a lot of attention. As a side note, it also didn't make much sense to me for them to be launching a campaign like that of that magnitude because if you are a person still interested in playing a version of Classic Warcraft this late into the game, this many years later, then you probably already knew about Turtle Wow way before they launched any of those advertisements that they were throwing around. I really doubt that there was many people on the fence about playing on private servers with the game being so old. I imagine that most people with any level of interest in the game have long since decided what side they prefer to play on, whether that's the retail side or the private server side. I think that most people had already figured it out. So ultimately, if this becomes the end of Turtle WoW and another major blow to the private server scene, then that is a bit sad for this community because Turtle WoW is offering a good experience. It's not perfect, but it does do a lot of things well, and I think most people familiar with it would probably argue that it's doing things better than Blizzard. Anyway, if you happen to see my video, thank you for watching. I'd be interested in any comments that you might have, and I'm hoping to be able to make some more fun videos in the future.